What's something a woman said or did that made you decide, on the spot, that you were done? I was willing to overlook the David Draymond altar in her room, but getting pissed off that I was having a conversation with her mom while she was on the phone in a different room, then accusing us of talking bad about her behind her back, was where I drew the line. It's as bad as it sounds. She sounds like a disturbed individual. Maybe she had a sickness she wasn't down with. My ex-wife threw her phone at my daughter. Thank you for defending your daughter, or at least upholding the honor of the phone. After a good time of being together for months, she tried shaming me for finding out she was talking to 10 dudes behind my back. Took me a while to realize it was okay for me to leave someone who didn't respect or desire me like I thought. Invad eng my PRIVAC why, I've been there, man. Got in a fight the night before leaving to Hawaii for my sister's wedding over something trite. Found out she had been hiding liquor in the closet and drinking it in secret. That wasn't the problem. I mean, sure, it's a problem cause I had been helping her work through her alcoholism and our agreement with our therapist was no booze in the house. But the real problem was that she decided to not go on the trip and got upset when I said I was still going. You're still gonna go without me? Yes. I'm walking my sister down the aisle. If you leave, we are done. It's her or me. 5 years. Instantly over. It was like a clarity washed over me in that moment. She wrote me a letter saying that I needed to change my whole personality to what she thought I should be or break up with her. Well, that was an easy decision. That's a weird way to tell someone you don't like them. If you change that much about yourself, I'd agree you're not really UNMORTBH. Threatened to call Child Protective Services on me and mine because people sexually abused as children will abuse their kids. Holy shit. I'm sorry you experienced that and everything associated with it. The household bills are not my problem, they are now. Came here to say something similar, except in my case, it was not to be all 1950s or anything, but it isn't my responsibility to have to worry about the household finances. Oh. So I'm 100% responsible for the financial aspect of the household and also 50% of the upkeep / day-to-day, laundry, cooking, cleaning, etc. Closed bracket question mark. That math didn't quite add up to me. It still doesn't, but there's a reason I'm divorced at 30 years old. My roommate spotted her holding hands and kissing another dude at a city summer event while I was away being a best man at a friend's wedding. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it and didn't apologize. My lady had same issue. My best friend at the time was on a road trip and my GF was on a completely separate road trip to the same destination. Well, they must have missed me so much. They ended up screwing. When she came back she told me. I said see ya. She slapped my face. Nope. Some girl slapped me in the face with a slice of hot pizza. I just ignored her. She turned to what I guess was her boyfriend and said why isn't he doing anything? Boyfriend sighed and said because he's a better person than you. Pretty sure I ended their relationship just by standing there covered in marinara sauce. I had got off the phone with my mother. She had just told me she had a tumor in her back and it's genetic. I had been having back problems and was scared for my mom, worried about my own longevity, and needed to talk. My wife was playing a video game. We were both gamers in the other room. I said I need to talk to you when you have a minute. Just got off the phone with my mom in a serious voice, and without even looking up from the screen she goes, you can just talk now. I said this is serious. I need to talk to you, and it needs to be not when you're staring at the game, and again without turning. Her response was I'm in the middle of something and can't just say it. Here's the thing folks. I played that exact game and knew she wasn't in the middle of anything. I could see the screen and she absolutely could have stepped away at that moment. What was actually going on was she was in the middle of playing and chatting online with the guy I would come to find out she had cheated on me with for over a month. She was so wrapped up in receiving lavish attention because their online version of a relationship was easy that she was completely oblivious to the person who she was married to standing right behind her on the verge of tears. In that moment my heart broke. I had done everything for this woman and I was worth so little to her that she couldn't even look away from a screen. The added context of her cheating was the actual final straw, but that moment is where it ended, I think. Accused me of an incestuous relationship with my cousin. Who isn't in an incestuous relationship with your cousin? Question mark? Well, his cousin. Probably. After my buddy told me he thought he saw her making out with a guy in her car, I asked her without giving detail, and she said he kissed me at the train station and I didn't know what to do. Bye. She actually ended up accusing her BFF of telling me she went with her to the train station and broke up their friendship. So she lost her boyfriend of 2 years and BFF of 12 years over a guy she had a fling with for a week while I was out of town. Oh okay. Well, you know, that explains it. Sarcasm. Lol. I would said. Well, let me help you to know. Pack your things. Edited for clarity. May seem trivial, but littering. She was in my car. We finished a bottle of water, and she straight up chucked it out the window. This except what she did was we had got Chinese to it, and she opens hers and takes one bite and says I'm full and literally threw the whole thing right on the sidewalk. What the fuck? We were having an argument. Nothing major at all. It never was. But all of a sudden, she screamed rape really loud and the next door neighbor called the cops. I never even touched her. I cried on the spot. And then again after the cops almost arrested me. I'm black. She's white. And up until that point, she had always seemed like more of an ally than enemy. Always said how she hated when white people, women especially, use their race against black people to get them into serious trouble. She said that she would never jeopardize my relationship with my daughter, not her child. I moved away from family and friends to start a life with her. I knew no one. I tried to make excuses in my head for months. Eventually, I called out of work one day, packed what little I could stuff in my car, and dipped off before she got home from work. My god. Bro. What an evil thing she did. Rest assured, what goes around comes around. I don't love you and never have. I don't want to marry you and never did. But you can still drive up here on the weekends and take me out if you want. At that point, we were almost 5 years into our relationship. The last 3 engaged. Nope. Not going to drive 241 miles one way every weekend for you or anyone else. Columbus to East Cleveland. That was about 25 years ago. I met my wife just a few months later and have been happily married for almost 23 years. Think of all of the refilling credit card reward points you missed out on. She asked for money, like just straight up, and was confused about why I said no. She was clearly used to a type of relationship that I did not want. How long have you been together? We were in the talking stages, not even together. Had been talking to a girl for maybe a few weeks. She invited me out with her and her friends, and then later in the night got super drunk, started dancing with other dudes right in front of me, and took one guy's number while I was maybe 2 feet away. Decided it probably wasn't gonna work long term. FO tha streets. On the first date she started to psychoanalyze me, asking if I have PTSD, and attempting to go into the nitty-gritty details of my service with the army. She never got a call back, and I went Dutch on the dinner. An ex of mine lived far enough away, about a 45 minutes ride, that I could only reasonably see her on weekends. But I was always the one who had to drive to her. Never met somewhere in the middle. Never at my place. I had to drive 45 minutes to her, sleep over her place, drive 45 minutes back. So after maybe 2 months of failing to get her to drive, I put my foot down and said, "This weekend it's going to be your turn." She texted me back, "The man is the one who makes the sacrifice for the woman." With the damn smiley. I texted back, "Wrong answer." Stayed home that weekend and dumped her a few days later. She blew up my phone because I didn't chase after her when she asked for a break 2 days before. I told her my life isn't a movie and I wasn't going to force her or anyone to be in a relationship they clearly didn't want anymore. My dad passed, and I was the only one in the family present. A few weeks later my wife told me I don't know why you're so upset you didn't talk to him that much, and a little later I talk to him all the time so you're saying you think you're more justified to be upset over my dad underscore passing than me. Edit. Screaming this into the void of the internet was surprisingly cathartic. I feel a weight lifted off me here. I was emotionally spent, and at the end of a traumatic day. She knew what I just went through, and when I broke down and started to cry she just stared at me and asked with a confused look, "What are you doing?" Is okay to be confused in moments like that. But WTF is that question, right? Like I'm sobbing because I thought I would have to kill someone. The F do you think I'm doing? You thought you had to do what? Exclamation mark question mark. She thought I was supposed to be impressed that she dropped her long distance boyfriend to get with me. Lol. Spoilers, it didn't work. If they leave someone to be with you, they'll leave you too once the next shiny toy comes along. There's so many people that won't leave a relationship until they have something better. Like the last girl I was seeing kept trying to flirt with me while she was dating someone else, and I kept telling her that I'm not interested in entertaining her while she's with someone else. So she broke up with the dude and thought that meant we'd be together. After I didn't immediately dive into a relationship with her, she started dating the dude again. Like what the F? After 40 minutes of constant questions about her, I legit had to ask her, "Do you want to know anything more about me?" Fayo. Can't believe I even sat that long. Ugh. I went out on a date with a guy on Sunday and that's exactly how I felt. I'd ask him a question. He'd talk about himself. And then it would be radio silence until I asked him something else. Not even an attempt to even pretend he was interested in me. Obviously we already had problems, but for me the moment came when I tried to let her know that the way she talked to and about her friend didn't sit well with me. It was as if she'd been trying to give the friend therapy and clearly tried to change her behavior because she believed it to be for the better. I tried telling her that it made me feel as if she was trying to do the same to me, a theme we'd discussed before. I often didn't feel like she was okay with the way I was, and she wanted to change me. She had literally admitted this in couples therapy. Her response came in 3 stages. First, she denied everything, but I pointed out that there is nothing to deny when I just observe her behavior, factual, and how it makes me feel. Then she tried to explain how she meant it well, which I acknowledged, but that still didn't mean that it was the right thing to do. Then she cried and told me I had said it in the wrong way. I had upset her, and it was my fault because I should have been more tactful. That's the moment I realized it's always about her. Broke up with her a week after, but that was the moment I knew she'd never be able to see my side of things. Edit. I never heard of Dava before. Thanks to the people pointing it out. I would like to emphasize she never attacked me in these situations. She was a very sweet girl and never actively wanted to do anyone harm. I truly believe that. It's just that she had a huge blind spot to her constant need to make everything go her way and wouldn't hear any criticism at all. It was like trying to nail down a looped up eel. She always wriggled away from under it. The only times I got through to her was when I was really blunt, and then she'd accuse me of being too harsh. 22 years together. 17 years marriage. She admitted to an affair. Him out. The moment my son's mother was screaming at me and my 2-year-old boy was crying, tugging on her shirt for her to stop, and I tried to take it down a notch by calmly saying, "Can we please not yell in front of him?" And she responds by screaming, "I don't give a fuck," in my face. My father left when I was a kid and I tried so damn hard to make that family unit work. I swore I would do anything to keep us together so my son wouldn't feel the way I did. In that moment, I realized it was impossible. My world shattered. In college, I took this girl to the movies. I bought drinks, popcorn, and milk duds, and she legit refused to give me a milk dud. "These are mine." And she wasn't playing. FFS, I only wanted a few. Had she said at the concession stand, "Hey, I'm really hungry, do you mind if I have this box just for me?" I would have gladly obliged, but she didn't, and I was done with her. Not a fan of stingy people. Edit. Come to think of it, she was selfish in bed too. Lol. I broke up with a girlfriend after she threw a brick through my front window and proceeded to put bleach all over my clothes. That was just one of her acts because I didn't want to do what she wanted. I was once trying to break up and she ran out of my house and told everyone she saw that I was hitting her. I wasn't, and got a whole gang of people after me. She called my work and my grandmother and all my family and the kid them all sorts of nasty stuff to just F with me. I later heard she had discovered crack cocaine and not having any money, certainly was able to smoke a lot of it. I finally was able to break up and found my wife, and we have been together for 30 years and have 2 wonderful children. My first wife and I had agreed to split as 10 years of her controlling and aggressive behavior had worn me down. She didn't believe I'd actually leave, but we'd agreed to do it after New Year, 20 plus years ago. One day I knew I'd had enough and told her I was leaving that day. I felt guilty as we had a 3-year-old, and I felt that ending the marriage made me a failure. As I was packing my stuff and feeling guilty and torn, she physically attacked me. Knew right then and there her true colors would never change. I left